Hello everybody and welcome to episode 51 of the Pentagon Challenge. Today I'm just going to round up the season in which we became the champions and talk about what we can still do better if we're going to complete the Asian portion of this most difficult challenge, and talk about other potential places where you can buy players. But without further ado, we got over the huge disappointment of losing the FA Cup final by 3 clear goals by destroying the CSL All-Stars team 3-1. That was really important as we went behind in the 52nd minute through Wei Shihao. But Yang Kuo, Vladan Karadzic and Li Shenglong, 3 players who are very useful to my team, each scored a goal, so that gave us the deserved win. So that gave us another trophy to add to the cabinet. It's the first time Shenhua have ever appeared in this All-Stars game, as it must have been established in the 2000s at some point. We'll double check that for you now. So we go to the All-Star game, history, past winners. So it started in 1994, but there were no club versus All-Stars system. So the real thing began in 2008 with Shandong and the CSL All-Stars playing twice in a row, and then Shenhua finally had their turn in the friendly exhibition match. So we ended up succeeding there in our own territory. So well done to the boys there. But in terms of next season, that's still a long time away. But let's just reflect on some of those results that really counted for something. So we can talk about this 4-0 over Shandong. That was absolutely massive for the team, getting such an important result. Defeating Shangang at home 2-0, that was also really good. How about the the Changchun game? That was a very important win. Li Shenglong scoring for the first time, if I'm not mistaken. Then, of course, winning on penalties, how important that proved to be. It certainly lifted the weight of our shoulders. Beating Renhe 4-2 was also really special. Then Jiangsu, a team we struggled against earlier in the campaign. That was the Livecom, if you remember. Then we had a few 1-0 wins and 2-1s, very narrow. So Meizu, the game that secured the title pretty much. Then Tianjin made it official. And then we also won those other games towards the end of the season. We did win it officially at Meizu, but it was so tight. And then beating Shangang 2-0 again was awesome. But then, as you saw in the final of the FA Cup, we just let ourselves down, and we couldn't recover from that 1-1 draw, despite having everything seemingly under control. So how about a look at the squad, see how the players did this season. Like, we have players who've been here since the beginning, and there are some new signings that had to be given their chances. So here we go with appearances. No surprises here. Yang Kuo, he was certainly the highest rated player. He got 20 starts and 1 substitute appearance in 30 Super League games, and he was immense. He also played in the FA Cup, the All-Stars game, and a few reserve games as well, so I hope to keep him around. He is well secured with that watertight contract. Radaby, obviously it's his first full season with the club, and to be a double winner with me, like, he's won 2 trophies in South Africa and in China with me, and that's just super special. Fantastic. So he was very handy at left back, and he still has years play for in his career. Fu Huan played 22 times, Nika Chanturia 19, Danny Moreno, he got a slow start to his life in China, but he started to learn his his P's and Q's, I suppose. Got very handy goals and assists for the team, but the only problem I have with him is that he's not willing to sign a contract, just like Vitor. So maybe, just maybe, the club hasn't reached the reputation needed to keep him around, and they have to sell him for profit. But again, the season hasn't changed from the last to the next, so our reputation hasn't gotten the boost it deserves. So Dujia and Liu Dansuo each played 18 times, but we'll compare those goalkeepers in a sec. And then Ji Minghao, probably last year's player of the season, didn't get to play so much. And then down here, some of the guys didn't get very many chances at all due to injury or just not being required. Gang Zonglin is definitely gone. I just cannot seem to get him to a new contract, and that's his own fault. But anyway, he was injured for a good long time. But anyway, the goal scoring was such a massive improvement from last season to this season. And we have Peng Changming, Vladan Karadzic and Li Shenglong to thank as the striking trio. But Ji Yang, I've waxed lyrical about him already. He also contributed 10 goals across the board. Daniel Moreno 5, Zheng Long and Geng Zonglin 4 each. Tax Yang, Wang Zihao, Yang Kuo, Ji Minghao, Sun Ji, Tao Xian, Fen Yang and Cao Yunding with the remaining goals. The assists, Zheng Long had 9 across the board, which is excellent. Ji Minghao 7, Wang Zihao didn't get to play very often, but he got 6 assists. Daniel Moreno 5, Geng Zonglin 5, Radaby 5, that's really good. Karadzic, Taxiang, Shenglong, Fen Yang, Changming, Ji Yang, Yang Kuo, Sun Ji and Cao Yunding, and Daniel Mullen, and Sun Yonggang, and Zhu Yun, and Zhang Zinlin also contributed assists. Yang Kuo surprisingly only got 4 Man of the Match awards in his 23 appearances, but it was a very hotly contested award as everybody from Mackay upwards got 1 each, which is really cool. Pass completion, Sun Yonggang kind of irrelevant with only the 9 starts. Du Jia actually completed 85% of his passes. Kai Hui Kang consistently reliable when needed, but he is getting old now, so I might have to find his long-term replacement. Yang Zifei with 81% pass completed. Yang Kuo, Fu Huan, Zhu Yun and Zhan Zinlin each got 80% or better. Yellow cards, Kai Hui Kang 7 with 1 man sent off. With 1 time sent off. Fu Huan 7 yellows. Sun Yonggang 6. Teng Long has 3, and then a lot of players getting at least 1. Red cards went to Kai Hui Kang and Mackay. And then the average rating, this is one you want to see. As I told you already, Yang Kuo was the numero uno, the top dog. But Zi Yang was keeping him close, even though he played a lot less games. Vladan Karadzic 7.42. Jiming has 7.36. The Tutuko Radaby with 7.28. Geng Zonglin 7.26. And then Du Jia 7.23. Really, really impressive net minding. Zhang Mifei not so good, but he didn't get to play often. Zhu Yun 6.79, not so great. But again, Fen Yang is probably the least rated player after playing more than 10 games from the start. So that's kind of the way it goes. So let's just compare the goalkeepers as well, see how they get on. Du Jia conceded 6 goals in the Chinese Super League in 15 games, and he kept a clean sheet 10 times. The FA Cup, he kept 1 clean sheet, conceded 4 times, and then he kept 1 goal. He only conceded the once in the All-Stars match. And then if we look for Dan Suo, he conceded 19 times in 15 games, but he kept 5 league clean sheets. He kept 1 clean sheet in the FA Cup, but that was all that he was needed for. So I think his star power is running out, and he'll have to accept being the backup from next season on. But either way, what a season it has been. If we look at the table one more time, if you need to, you can see we won 21 times, drew 5 and lost 4. But the one team that beat us twice was Quanzhou, so that's definitely a reason to improve. And we really want to get our revenge on them, as they actually managed to charge up the table into 4th place, which, as far as I'm aware, is their best finish in their club history. I could be wrong, but either way, the stats in front of me show the best they did was 8th last year. But Shangang, despite winning the FA Cup, they are one of the big flops of the season. But then again, you look at Beijing and Shandong, they've rapidly declined, hitting the sort of standards where we were last year. But if we can maintain this dominance, then I'm very, very confident that we can do well on all fronts. But I don't know what to expect from the Asian Champions League next season. I'm sure it's well and truly over by now. So yes, Qadsia, I've never heard of them. They're from Kuwait, and yet they won the tournament. How about that? So who did they beat? Let me see. Oh, they beat the Suwon Blue Wings. Very interesting indeed. So it looks like this tournament is winnable, but we have to strengthen the squad significantly. But then you look at Al Ahly and Sydney, they're great teams as well. And then the last point I looked, you can see no Chinese club got into the quarterfinals thanks to Guangzhou's failure to beat Jeonbuk. But that's just the kind of standard we'll have to reach if we're going to win in the tournament and make sure we don't get knocked out of it. Entirely, as I want to finish top of the league next year as well. So that's pretty much that. Just before I go into the Chinese Super League stats, I want to show you how Vasco da Gama are doing, and it's not so positive for the Voyagers. You can see they are continuously in decline. They sacked the manager when the board made a transition from the old to the new. So Mbui didn't get to play a game at all, and then he was sacked. So Anelli has done slightly better in his start of the season, but they're not doing so well at all. They're in 7th position, and they'll need to do much better than that if they're going to qualify for the top 3, where the teams can expect to be given a playoff or complete promotion. So in the Premier League, Orlando Pirates are the dominant force ahead of Jomo Cosmos, Kaiser Chiefs and Ajax Cape Town. The team that was, all conquering when I was in South Africa have fallen by the wayside. They're in 7th place, but thankfully they've stayed loyal to the manager. That's something I can respect. But since we last met the Premier League in South Africa, the Sundowns, the Kaiser Chiefs and the Sundowns again have been champions, but Orlando Pirates have just floundered at the last. I don't know how they keep failing to win the league, but that's a job I'd love to have once I win the Asian Champions League. I know it'll happen one day, despite some of my terrible luck. But let's just take a look at those Chinese Super League stats as quickly as possible. I did this last year in about episode 39 or 40, and you can compare them from last year to this year. So if we look quickly at the player overview, I didn't look at this last year, but you can see the top scorer was Nikao from Brazil. Most assists, Mi Hao Lun with 10. The most key passes, 119. The best rated player, Dujia, with the 10 clean sheets. You can see it there. That's really, really good. Average rating was Yang Kuo, number 1. But the Man of the Match awards were tied between Wu Lei and Frank Julien. Let me just see. The most distance covered, Danny Moreno actually came second there. That's really nice. The key tackles, we're not rated there. That's alright. The least goals conceded, or least times conceded, Sui Tong only conceded 23 times, but I'm not too sure how that one works. And the best at hitting the target, not really relevant to us. So anyway, let's just head into the team detailed section. So last year we kept about 51% possession, and it's the exact same total this year, but we made much better use of it when we had it. Penalties, we only had the one all season, and that was dispatched. I believe that would have been the Guangzhou game with the 2-2 draw. I'm fairly sure that was it. Yellow cards, again, we are the most vulnerable to getting yellow cards ourselves, but it's not something I'm willing to change when we only get 2 players sent off a season. The games won in a row, that went to us with the 9, and we were the best team in the league, winning so many times in a row anyway. Games lost in a row, games scored in a row, we're well and truly in charge of that. The minutes since last goal, Zhang Tao, I think they're relegated. They didn't score in 272 minutes. Guangzhou, 243. But these are sort of up-to-date stats and so on and so forth. Let's head into the goals section. We have gone from the middle of the table all the way to the top. We were so dominant in this category. It's really, really not funny for the other guys in our wake. The cross-completion ratio, this was something I looked at in detail last year, and it looks like we haven't improved at all in terms of the percentage score, but we scored plenty of goals from crosses, which was so much better. We completed 151 and managed to hit 14% of 186. I don't know how much that would be. Goals from corners, looks like we only got none. Wow, we didn't need to be set piece FC. Goals from direct free kick, we got the 1. Goals from indirect free kicks, that's a big win for us. We got 6. Pass completion ratio, we got 76%, which is still good, but could have been better. And we actually didn't complete many passes at all with 10,473. But we did hit the most shots on target, 197, and that was the greatest percentage with 44. That's really good. Now let's just take a look at defending. Again, this is a category we're really bad at last year, and we have shot to the top, so we'll want to do better than that next season. 25 is still a lot to concede in 30 games, but it is being greedy, as we kept 15 clean sheets, which is exactly half. So we're certainly showing great progress. We made the most fouls, and we won the 5th best amount of tackles, and our percentage is 11th best there. Average attendance, 7th for us there. Not really an improvement, as it's 74% of our capacity, but that puts us in 2nd place, which is still pretty good. Stadium sellouts, just the 1 for Guangzhou, 1 for Shenhua, 1 for Fuli, and 1 for Beikong. Everyone else let themselves down in that department. The highest attendance was 58,000 for Guangzhou, no real surprise there. We are 6th with 33,060, but we don't really have the chance to spend that kind of money on the stadium. I don't think we've spent a lot of money on other things. Now let's take a look at the transfer spend. Yeah, that does tell a lot, really. We put 5 million into transfers, whereas everyone else didn't do anything at all, where Beijing actually sold players for profit. But that's something we want to keep going to do. If we keep spending our money, then the other guys won't really want to respond. But the salary, we are the 7th highest spenders in the Chinese Super League with 12 million per annum. Guangzhou and Quanxian have huge transfer bills, but in fairness to Shangang, they actually spend only 10 million per annum, and they have shown some good progress. But the shrewdest spenders in the league are probably Meizu, the newly promoted team, went from 11 million per annum to 2nd place, and that's really, really impressive. When you look at Beikong, 14th place for 13 million spent on wages. That's terrible, and it's, that has to be changed immediately. So next season I'll have some transfers to bring you, but you can expect new midfielders, maybe a new striker, and possibly the new right back, since I can't get Mackay back. But I'm not sure what to expect. But we'll see how the transfer market goes. We have certainly got to gain our boost of reputation, because at the minute we're only the 2 stars, which is not really fair, as we're the champions of China. So we look at club reputation as a sort of barometer. You can see we are 2 stars, well and truly middle of the pack. But I can tell you automatically, we're better than Shandong, better than Beijing, then Fuli, Ayurban, Beikong and Quanxian. We're better than all of them, but it's a matter of time before we beat Guangzhou and Shanghai in the long term. But we'll see if we do get those 2.5 stars to give us better leverage in the transfer window. But whenever this episode gets uploaded, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you again as soon as possible. Bye now.